The Athenians preserved the legendary Ship of Theseus as a symbol of victory. Every single year, they sent the ship on a ceremonial voyage, and every single year, they replaced the old rotten planks with fresh new ones. And so decades passed, and then centuries. Until one day, philosophers asked a simple but shocking question. If over time we replace absolutely every plank, does this ship remain the same ship? This is the famous Ship of Theseus paradox. And today, we're diving straight into it. So Theseus is gone, the ship remains, and with it the question. At first glance, the vessel in front of us looks unchanged. But if not a single original piece remains, then what truly makes it the Ship of Theseus? This is where we hit our first fundamental idea. Sometimes what we call the same object has little to do with its physical parts. Let's go deeper to understand. The philosopher Thomas Hobbes introduced an even more provocative twist. Imagine that no one throws away the old planks. Instead, someone collects every single one of them and rebuilds a second perfect Ship of Theseus. Now two ships stand at the pier. One, assembled from new planks. The other, built from the original ones. And suddenly, we have not one question but two. Which one is the real ship? And can identity belong to two objects at once? There is no definitive answer. But Hobbes gives us a new insight. Identity is sometimes not an inherent property of a thing, it is something we assign. A matter of choice. To move forward, we need to understand. How do we ever decide that something remains itself? There are two classic types of identity. Qualitative identity. When two objects share the same properties, like two brand new chairs from the same factory. Numerical identity. When we talk about one and the same object across time, like a chair you've owned for 10 years. And the Ship of Theseus forces us to ask, what matters more, the material or the story? If material matters, then the ship is different. If the story matters, then the ship is unchanged. Which brings us to an important realization. Maybe an object is not the sum of its parts but the story it carries. Surprisingly, this paradox applies directly to us. Because the human body is constantly renewing itself. Skin cells refresh every 2 to 4 weeks. Liver cells every year. And almost every atom in your body is replaced within 7 to 15 years. It's meaning that physically, you are a different person than you were 10 years ago. And yet we still confidently say, I haven't become someone else. So once again, we arrive at that same idea. Identity isn't a collection of parts, it's continuity. A process, not an object. We are not static. We are ongoing. And at this point, the Ship of Theseus stops being an abstract puzzle and becomes a mirror in which we see ourselves. Quick reminder about likes and comments. I appreciate everyone who didn't scroll past. Let's look at today's world. You upgrade your computer, first the memory, then the graphics card, then the processor, the case, until not a single original component is left. And yet you still call it your computer, because its history and its function stayed continuous. Or take architecture. In Europe, some buildings have been entirely reconstructed, yet legally, they are still the same building. The law simply says, if the history wasn't interrupted, the object remains the same. A football club can change its entire roster, management, even ownership, and still remain that same club. Objects stay themselves not because their parts remain, but because their concept does. Now imagine this. The body is destroyed, rebuilt from the same atoms, and the consciousness is reloaded into it. Is that you or a copy? This isn't science fiction, it's the direct logic of the Ship of Theseus. And again we arrive at the same idea. If information is what matters, identity can be transferred. If the material foundation matters, identity is unique. When we ask, does an object remain the same if all its parts are changed? We're secretly asking, do I remain myself if I change? If your beliefs shift, your relationships evolve, your body changes, your emotions transform, your entire life moves in a new direction, what happens to me? And the Ship of Theseus answers, we change constantly. There is no version of me that is eternal. And yet, we are still ourselves. Because we preserve continuity. Memory, choice, responsibility, history, meaning. Our self is not our parts. Not our body. Not our personality traits. Not even our thoughts. Our self is a trajectory. A path we continue as long as we do not abandon it. And this leads to a profound conclusion. Identity is not something we possess. It is something we continue. Many people fear change. They fear losing themselves if they switch careers, environments, beliefs, dreams. They fear that the new version of them won't be them at all. But the Ship of Theseus says the opposite. You don't lose yourself when you change. You become yourself. Your identity isn't in the details, it's in movement. Like a ship that continues its voyage. Change is not the destruction of a person. It is their continuation. And here is the core takeaway. A person becomes themselves not by staying the same, but by continuing the path of their self. The Ship of Theseus isn't a story about a ship. It's a story about us. We are processes that never stop. Stories that never consist of a single chapter. Beings that preserve themselves not through matter, but through the choice to keep moving. So do we remain the same if we change? The answer is simple. If your story continues, you are still you. If you choose a new path, you are still you. By changing, you don't lose yourself. You create yourself. And the Ship of Theseus is a reminder. Even a completely renewed object can keep its soul, if its soul lies not in the planks, but in the direction of its movement. Thank you for watching to the end. Your support means a lot. See you soon.